Bueno, bienvenidos a este directo tan especial. Hoy estoy aquí con Dan Clancy, es el CEO de Twitch, básicamente, el director. Este directo va a ser en inglés, ¿vale? Vamos a hablar en inglés todo el tiempo porque, bueno, él no habla español, básicamente. So, today we are building a computer for you.
I'm
It's
excited.
a little gift for you. I wanted to be like a super cute small PC, so you can do whatever you want with it.
I appreciate that. I'm very excited about that.
Also, you are a computer scientist,
I'm a
right?
computer scientist,
Yeah.
yep.
And also you have a PhD on AI, is
I do.
that right?
I have a PhD in AI, and I was just telling Nate that when you go back in time, I built my own PC back in early 90s. And so, then I learned all that, but now I've completely forgotten it. And in fact, when I did get this one PC, because once you know it, it's actually pretty simple. But when you don't know it, there's just so many little things you can get wrong. And it's actually not that complicated, but it's just like doing it. And that's why it's perfect. I'll do it with you. And now maybe I'll get back to now it's like all coming back,
Like a little update so you can see everything, how it works today.
Yeah.
It changed a lot, of course.
Yeah.
It's easier
It's
than
actually
ever.
a lot easier than it was before.
It's easier than ever.
Yeah, because before it used to be there were all sorts of little shit that you could get wrong.
No. Here it's like you just have to match.
It's like a Lego set.
Yeah, it's like a Lego, of course.
All
Especially, I have a question for you. People don't really know what the CEO does. It's like normally people think that in companies the CEO don't work at all. He doesn't do anything.
I work.
Yeah, I can imagine, and a lot. So explain me a little bit what is a CEO and what's the role of a CEO in a company.
So first of all, I think each company, the role of a CEO is different depending upon the CEO. In fact, your job as a leader is to figure out what you're good at and then make sure you leverage that and then build a team around those things that you're not good at so you leverage your strengths. I'm going to describe what I do as a CEO, but that doesn't mean that's what in fact, I'd say I'm probably unusual in terms of what I do as a CEO. Ultimately, my job is to establish the strategy and the direction that Twitch is going, okay? And then to build a team that can get us in that direction. And to help that team understand, where they're supposed to go and keep them all aligned. Nothing that gets done at Twitch is done by me. Everything that gets done at Twitch is done by somebody else. Somebody writing code, someone issuing a blog post, someone doing. And so Twitch works well if I do a good job building a team that can function well together. And then I say, this is where we need to go.
This is super hard to do, right? This is a super hard skill to choose the right people to work in a company. For me, at least, as an entrepreneur, because I have like my team and my channels. So it's like this super hard skill that you can learn, but by doing it.
Yeah, I don't think it's harder at all. It's harder at your level. It's hard here, especially if you're empathetic. Because if you're empathetic, and some leaders are not empathetic. Some leaders are very narcissistic and they're like, sorry, you're fired.
Yeah.
And then they go home and it doesn't bother them.
Yeah.
My son's 22 and he just opened this cafe coffee shop with Mike Salmon. And he was hiring people and then eventually had to fire his first person, right? At 22, and this was after running it for like 2 months. It wasn't very long. And he had to figure that out and go through, he didn't dislike the person, they just weren't a very good worker.
Yeah.
So I think it's hard to find good people. The tricky part is when someone's getting rid of people is really tricky, especially if you care about them.
Yeah. First time I did that, I didn't sleep in days. It was super hard for me. I was awake all night thinking about how this is super hard. And
Yeah.
But also choosing the right people, because if you have to fire them in some way, it's also because you made the wrong choice.
Yeah, but actually, I think the mistake is feeling like, make sure I don't ever have to fire him. Then you're extremely risk averse in hiring people. And then you often pass on some of the best people. Because some of the best people are people that you won't know, right? There may be this really sharp 21-year-old that's gonna blow you away, that's gonna be like, holy shit, I got him started and then he passes you by. You don't hire that person because you can't sit in an interview and detect that this 20 person is going to surpass you. But let me quickly so for me, I actually spend most of my time in meetings and I'm very detail oriented. And so I like being in the details. And that's different than some. So I'll spend a lot of time in product reviews, talking about details about product features. I tend to be a jack of all trades, so I spend time with the trust and safety team and understanding how we do enforcements and all that. And so, one of the things that I've often said is, I don't make every decision at Twitch, but I'm responsible for every decision. So I believe it's important to get into the details, understand the details. And then I spend a lot of time with creators, but I have to juggle that because I spend most of my time I'm in meetings. Like on this trip, we'll spend all day, and then I have like 5 hours of meetings tonight where I'll be on video calls.
Yeah, but I think it's super important to get along with creators because you can understand the product.
Yep.
That's the product, actually. So
I think it's understanding the product, and it's also building trust with the creators, because the creators are the ones that make Twitch Twitch.
Yeah.
And I think it's important for them to trust where we're going. Okay. And part of that is them getting to know me.
Yeah, that's super cool. Actually, it's a pleasure to have you here.
Yeah.
I'm super nervous, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
All right. We should have gone for a run, and then you wouldn't have been nervous.
Yeah. Only sweaty, maybe.
Yes.
Okay, so let's get started. So this will be your new processor. It's a Ryzen 7. It's pretty good.
Yep.
It's a good processor. It's not like the best, because in this small...
too much heat.
Yeah, it's too much heat, but it's perfect. It's like one of the most powerful. So this will be your processor.
Okay.
And then we have this motherboard, which is a small factor motherboard. It's ITX. I think you can try to put the processor on the motherboard.
Yep.
Yeah?
Are we going to do that right away?
You're an engineer. I think you can do that.
Yeah, I can figure shit out.
Yeah, of course. So we have to put this down.
There we go. Now I see it.
Yeah, that's it.
Down.
You just open here
and
put the processor.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's okay. Yeah.
It's set in there.
Yeah. This comes off. And there you
Bingo.
have it. Yeah.
Bingo.
It was easy.
That was easy.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go into making computers.
Yeah, that's actually the hardest part of the
Actually,
build.
no. The hardest part of making computers, when I remember when I made it, or if I was gonna make one now, is all the choices you need to make about all the pieces.
Yeah.
Because when you put it together, it's like, oh, which fan am I gonna use? And psychologically, you always want to get the best.
Yeah.
So you're sitting there on Google, like trying to, do I get this product? Do I get this motherboard? And there are all these decisions, right? And even like the fan, it's like.
And actually, in the end, for me, when I wasn't like a streamer, YouTuber, I used to buy my computers, and I have like limited budget. But I started like to look at benchmarks and tests.
Yes.
And then I started with some products, and 2 days after that, I chose like the most powerful ever, which was like double the price, but 5% better.
Right. But especially because like, I want the best.
Yeah,
I want the
that.
best.
Totally
and you
need
do
that.
all the research, and then you realize, actually, you don't need all that.
No.
It's interesting. That's what for IRL streaming. I have a backpack with a live view, solo live view, and all that. Right. I love using unlimited IRL. It's been great in supporting me, but I realize it's like, I don't need all that stuff. And so when other people, and I have all sorts of gear. Like I didn't even bring my, the DJI microphones, because sometimes it's just too much.
Those are very good, actually.
Yeah, they are very good. But like I tell people, just have a phone and a tripod. And if you really want to get fancy, then you buy a separate phone than your main phone, right? And get one that you can put 2 SIMs in. And it's like you're IRL streaming.
Yeah, because if you have like a super complex gear with a lot of different stuff, you have to pay attention to all those details.
Yeah,
and the
it's fun to buy all this stuff.
Yeah.
Well, just like here, I mean, part of it is we all tech out on cool shit.
Yeah.
And so that's part of what you did when you decked this out. Like I saw your camera, I was like, shit, that camera's cool.
Yeah, it's
It'd be cool to have that camera.
But I need a camera operator to.
Right, now
to
the
do all
reality
this.
is, you don't need that camera,
Yeah.
but it's a fun camera to have.
Yeah, of course.
Right?
But there are many downsides.
Yeah. By the way, what do you mostly stream from?
The cameras are Blackmagic, but I also use Sony.
I'm not familiar with Blackmagic cameras.
It's a cinema camera. It's like
okay.
not super expensive, but it's like
it's a cinema camera.
Yeah,
brand.
they use it a lot for documentaries.
But like that's not a Blackmagic.
No, this is Sony. I mainly use this Sony camera because this is super good for autofocus. it should be focusing
Yeah.
automatically the processor. But with Blackmagic, since it's like a cinema format, it doesn't do autofocus. You always need
because it's designed for.
Yeah.
That's why you need a cameraman.
Yeah. Normally for film productions, you have like a team. One takes care only
Yeah, I know.
for the focus of the camera. Yeah. Now this is your
Fan.
Your fan. This is for cooling the processor. And for this, I will have to put these small things around here.
Let me do it.
You want to do it? Okay.
Yes,
but
of course I
Let
wanna
me
do
choose
it.
the right one. That's not the right one.
Yeah, this is the thing that like when you do this on your own, when he knows what he's doing, it takes him 5 minutes. You know, if you don't, then sometimes it can take you 30 minutes just reading all the shit you have to read.
Yeah. Well, I usually check the instructions too because they tend to change this a lot. It's like every year, every new model.
But wait,
a little
they have
bit.
it for different fan? They
Yeah.
have it for, those all are with the fan.
Yeah.
So then they have it for different motherboards.
For different processors, because every processor has like a different position for these holes and the size of the socket. So
Yeah, but these holes are in the motherboard.
these holes are in this small plate you have behind here. Yeah, those are in the motherboard.
Right,
but
right,
not
right.
in every motherboard. But depending on the processor, for example, if you have this is Ryzen 7000.
Yeah.
But if you have like Ryzen 5000,
It's lower?
it's the previous generation actually. So the motherboard is different. And this, for example, this comes off.
So in fact, when you got this motherboard,
Yeah.
this motherboard only works for certain processors.
yeah.
So if you had the 5000, you couldn't use this
No,
motherboard.
you can't. This is only for the new
Right,
generation.
right. So it's really the motherboard that has this configuration, but it's only certain motherboards work with this particular processor.
That's right.
Yeah.
Also, for example, for Intel processors, it also changes a lot. It's very different.
Now talk to me about your thoughts about AMD versus Intel.
Wow. They are
Because it used to be Intel was the,
Yeah.
like, you know, oh, if you want a really good processor, Intel. And now my sense, it's like,
at this moment,
It's a toss-up.
the main difference is in price. It's like depending on the price of each product, it changes during the year. Depending on the price, right now, one is better than the other. There is like not
right, meaning they're really equivalent now.
Yeah.
At different times of the year, their pricing may be different.
Yeah.
And it varies because of promotions they're running and something like that.
Yeah, brands fight
Yeah.
each other with prices.
Yes,
It's
yes.
like
and so as opposed to having to have a complex equation of price versus quality, which is the way it used to be. Like Intel was more expensive, right? But it was better.
Yeah, but
and
not right
now
now.
it's like it's not better,
it's not better. It's the
but
same.
it's not really more expensive either.
No,
now.
actually, the battle usually is on the highest end,
Yeah.
like the top
The
product.
top.
Yeah, the top, because they try to build the best processor
Of course,
every year.
they
And
try to make sure we have the absolute best, even though 98% of the market doesn't need it.
And that's relevant only for marketing, I think.
Yeah.
Because we make reviews and we said that this is the best brand right now. But actually, in the lowest end products, the mid-range and
Right.
low end, it's the same.
Yeah.
It's the same. The only change is the price. So right now, it's pretty much that.
Yep.
But they're been messing up lately because of this war. They've been pushing the processors too far, especially on the high end, for example, i9 or Ryzen 9. And many processors, when they came out in the market, they were super unstable. They had to release a lot of BIOS updates, motherboard updates to fix them because there were like many blue screens, a lot of problems.
So do this only because, and I asked this question of you only because I think for some people this part is confusing. So talk to me where Nvidia plays into this now, the most valuable company in the world. Because I think some people don't fully understand the difference between what Nvidia does versus what Intel does,
Yeah.
and what the two parts are, and so
Yeah.
explain that so that people understand what Nvidia does, which is that Intel does, especially now that Nvidia is so absurdly valuable.
Okay, so I will go back to the 80s
Yep.
for this.
Yep.
In the 80s, they invented graphics cards. Graphics cards are very good for 3D graphics. They are a very special type of processor with many small units that can process a lot of work in parallel. So it's a different kind of task that processor do. It's completely different.
Yep.
But then during the 2000s, I think, Nvidia realized that they could use the graphics card not only for graphics but also for computing
more complex mathematical for any complex mathematical computation, which AI has a ton of.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
So that processor was also very good for that task because we have this parallel
processing, the ability to take these complex mathematical equations and process them in parallel.
Yeah, but that also requires like a different kind of programming. It's are you into programming? Yeah, of course.
I have been. Yeah.
Do you used to work as a software developer?
I didn't I did a lot of coding when I was getting my PhD.
Okay.
But then when I worked at NASA, I did some coding, but I never worked as like I was never like a traditional software developer.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you have to create different type of programs to run on graphics cards. But then Nvidia developed this API, CUDA. CUDA is specifically designed to use your graphic card as a processor, as a computing
as a general
purpose processor.
GPU. Yep.
And everything started to build up on top of this technology, even AI. So right now, one of the most relevant technologies for AI is neural networks. So neural networks basically runs on Nvidia hardware. That's the easiest way to run your neural network. So now that, for example, OpenAI, all those new AI models, they run on Nvidia graphics. So that's why Nvidia is so relevant right now.
I always find it so interesting that when you go back in time, the processor mattered more, and that's where Intel was. And I don't know enough to know like if they considered owning the graphics processors when Nvidia was doing it or not. But at the time, it was like, oh yeah, that's the graphics processor.
Yeah.
Right? So it
wasn't relevant.
So it's fine, let Nvidia own the graphics processor.
Yeah.
And then because since graphics is doing complex mathematical equations, eventually the graphics processor is kind of what matters now.
Yeah, that's true.
You know.
But also, I think Nvidia took like a very risky decision investing on this computing API to convert their graphics card into a processor.
Yep.
And I think that was very risky because it was like
right, they didn't know that would.
Yeah. But in the end, it worked. It worked out
really well.
So they didn't know at the moment.
Yeah.
So I think they deserve it right now. But also the value on the market of a company, it doesn't mean that the company is
but it is amazing what it's everybody forecasting what's going to happen because of the AI buzz.
And as an AI expert, what do you think about it? What do you think is the future of AI?
My general thoughts on AI is if we had never called it AI, and suppose as opposed to calling AI, we called it cool algorithms.
Okay.
Then no one would be worried about it taking over the world. So there's like cool algorithms taking over the world. Yeah. But you go back in time, we use this term artificial intelligence, and the stuff that we used to call AI, now we don't even think of as AI, right? It's just like, Java came out of AI and all sorts of things that like, it's like, oh yeah, because of course it keeps moving. Okay, and really what it is nonlinear regression, right? It used to be linear regression, now nonlinear regression, and it's model fitting, and it's just with tons of dimensions. And of course, at some level, but for some reason, there's this line we draw between, no, this is AI.
Yeah.
That's linear regression, right? And so
nowadays AI, it's like only deep neural networks, right?
Yeah. Even I mean, the name applies to all sorts of things, but in general, when people talk about generative AI, it is deep neural networks, right? My sense is whenever you get development of a technology, it goes like this for a while, and then it goes like that. But then what people do when you're on this part of the curve is they forecast and assume you have the same development. It's not like Moore's law, which had physics as the foundation of Moore's law, right? In terms of everything getting smaller. It actually goes and fits and starts. And sometimes it can go 20 years, like without like having the next step function. This idea that they're gonna be as smart as us, I think it's a reflection of a deep misunderstanding of where human intelligence is, which we can talk more about. I have a lot to think about that. And I think they will do more and more cool shit. But, back when we first invented a calculator, it's like, holy shit, it can do that math, right? Computers already do shit that like you and I can't do.
Yeah.
Just because they can play chess, like we go, oh my gosh, you can play chess now, right? When before, like now it does calculations that you and I can't do. So I think it is cool as shit. You can do all sorts of stuff with it, but everyone needs something to talk about And so pundits need to talk about how it's a threat and is going to take over the world, and I think that's just silly.
So you don't think it's a threat?
Any new technology, when gunpowder was invented, right? Gunpowder then developed guns, which were incredibly powerful to hunt and could also kill people, right? Social media, right? Social media, very powerful, but has all sorts of these ills in our society, as we see. Let's take misinformation, which I think is a real societal ill. Here's the key. Go back in time to when social media first started. Suppose somebody back then said, I know what's going to happen. Eventually, this is going to create a network, and then people are going to use it to spread misinformation.
Yeah.
Suppose someone knew that. What could they have done to stop that?
Nothing.
And first of all, they wouldn't have known it, because my view is any technology that is transformative, there are 5 bad things that are going to happen because of AI. I can conjecture 200 bad things. Now, of those, or 100 bad things. Of those 100 bad things, only 5 of them will actually end up being bad things. Can I actually pick which of the 5 of the 100 are actually bad things? No, I can't.
Yeah.
And even if I knew which one of the 5, can I figure out an intervention that stops it?
Not really.
The answer is not really. The other example I use is back when we invented the internal combustion engine, right? Suppose somebody said, this eventually will lead to global warming, which will be one of the biggest threats humanity has ever faced, right? Which if I say, what's the threat I'm worried about, global warming or AI? I'm like, are you kidding me? Global warming. I know global warming, like it's going to be a massive problem for, people on the coast and all that. Suppose in the 1920s, someone told you that this was going to happen due to the internal combustion engine. Would we have done something differently that would have prevented?
Probably not.
Probably not.
Yeah.
I mean, we know it, probably not. We know now that global warming is an existential threat to humanity with confidence like 1, and we're not doing a lot about it.
Yeah.
So suppose you go back 100 years and say, look, 100 years from now, this is going to be shitty. But you just don't have confidence.
Actually, when I was a child, I used to hear a lot about the climate change, but no one did anything about that. Just speak to us as children. This will happen, but nothing changed.
Yeah. So I think if that's like this idea that we just have to know that yes, some things are going to happen. And we're going to have to, that is the nature of technology.
Yeah, of course.
And I'll add the one other part that I think so often, you think you can stop technology, and this is an issue for Europe, and all you can do is stop your country from developing technology, right? Europe will pass laws, so Europe might not lead. That doesn't stop China from leading, doesn't stop America from leading. And so this idea that in today's political climate, you're going to stop it, all you're going to do is stop your country from developing it.
Okay, so we are going to put the thermal compound on it. Do you want to try it? It's actually because the surface of this metal here and this metal here is not perfectly flat. It doesn't really, there's like a micro space between. So with this thermal paste,
it fills in the micro space. So we want the micro paste, but we don't want it ending up over here.
No, nothing would happen if it does, but
we want it like
nice and clean. So maybe you can do like a cross. Okay, stop. Okay, so I will move it a little bit around so I can spread it. Okay, so now we have to screw it here. Do you want to do it?
What the hell? I'll do the simple stuff.
Yeah, no.
I can screw in a,
Okay, stop. We have to do a little bit of this.
A little bit there, a little bit of there, so it doesn't,
Maybe you have to release
the other one.
Yeah, the other one a little bit. Over this, you have to. Okay, go now. So what do you do in your free time? Do you have free time?
I don't have a ton of free time. So I exercise.
Okay.
And then I whitewater kayak are the 2 biggest things. I spend a lot of time outdoors.
What's your favorite type of, your favorite sport to practice? Running?
Because, I do triathlons.
Okay.
So, in fact, I'm training for a full Ironman now.
Oh,
wow. I'm doing a half with creators in September and then a full in November.
Okay, I think it's okay.
I was not really kind of an endurance sport guy until 2017 is when I started running regularly. And then I ran my first Ironman 18 months later. And so what I often joke is, they say, oh, what are you best at, swimming, running, or biking? I said, I'm crappy at all three.
But you are a bit good at everything, right? So
Well, I don't know, good isn't the word. I have endurance so that I will just keep going.
okay.
You know, I may be slow, but I will sustain the pain.
Okay.
You know, so that's my secret.
Is it like super hard to do this kind of triathlon?
For
the first time at least?
I mean, it's mostly conditioning your brain to just like
keep going.
I'll be fine. I can keep going to get
won't
at a
die.
pace. Right. I won't die. I'll be fine. When I did my first full Ironman, I got to the end and I laid down and I said, everything in my body hurts. Once I stopped moving, like then when I had to walk 200 yards to the car, I could like barely do it. The second one, I was in better shape and I understood it better. And so I was like able to still move around.
For the first time, you need like a ton of training and
I trained, so I would get, right before it, I'd be training 12 to 14 hours a week or something like that.
Okay.
But it's not like the furthest I ran before my first full Ironman was in one stretch was 15 miles.
Okay.
Right, and like for biking, the furthest I had biked before, because it's, you know, you bike 112 miles, and the first that I bike in a training session was like 70 miles. So you don't actually like run a marathon in training. You never do that.
Okay. You just prepare for that day,
and then because you just build the ability, and then that day. And part of it is the run when you do the Ironman, unless you're really good and competing in time and all that. You walk a fair amount of it, and everyone walks a fair amount of it.
Okay, yeah, because it's too much.
It's too much.
And you have to eat all the time while
you're taking stuff, and
I think for me the hardest part will be the swimming, because you have to.
It's the easiest part.
Yeah,
it's everybody says that because they're not used to it.
Yeah.
But on distance-wise, when they set it up, I could train and swim 2.4 miles 4 days a week and be fine.
But you had like to perfect your technique.
No, I have a crappy technique. You just
Really?
once you start swimming, and if you just do it for a month, the first time you go, oh God, I'm tired. And then once you do it for a month, you realize, oh, I can kind of just keep going. I mean, I may be a little tired. It's mostly just boring.
Yeah, it's boring.
Because you know, unlike running where you're looking around or biking. Here you're just like head down, you know, and
just
so
see the water and
so it's boring.
Yeah, it's boring.
Is the problem, but you actually condition yourself. So the swimming is like far and away the easiest of the three.
Because when I went to the swimming pool, I saw like other guys swimming, and they swim so fast,
I know.
so easy.
Yeah,
it's like,
that's not me.
Yeah.
I go to a swimming pool and they're like, so I'll do like, it takes me like 2:30 to do 100 yards or something, and like, you know, they'll be doing them in like under a minute. Like,
yeah. So the time is relevant for the triathlon, or is just?
I don't care. I mean, you have to complete it in 17 hours.
Okay.
The two I did roughly 15, and so it's only relevant if you're going to be close to the 17 hours, right? Because nobody, like when you do something like that, nobody says, well, what was your time? Like literally nobody, unless somebody does a lot of triathlons. So
yeah, it's like you survived this.
Yeah,
that's
you're competing against yourself.
Yeah.
Time-wise.
Okay.
You know.
There is no racing here.
I mean, they are racing, but unless you're at that class, then you're racing against yourself.
Yeah, of course. Did you try climbing?
Oh, I love climbing.
Yeah, really?
I haven't. I'm not that. I'm like crappy. My son got into climbing for a while, and I'd go bouldering with him at the gym. And I always tell any parents out there, if you have young kids, don't get them into ball sports. Get them into climbing.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I think it's better. Yeah.
It's
I would do the same.
Because so the thing I love about climbing, especially with kids, is you climb and then you have to rest. And a big part of sports is just the camaraderie and friendship. And if you go to a bouldering gym, you climb and then you rest, and you sit there and you're shooting the shit with somebody, and then you get up and climb. And if you get your 10-year-old doing it, they're in great shape.
Yeah.
By the time they're 15,
Yeah.
and they'll do it for their life. You know, if you play basketball, like I've played basketball my whole life, but a lot of sports, once you get to 22, like in America, football or baseball, you don't play them.
Yeah.
You know, at least over here, I think a lot of people play soccer as they age. Did you grew up playing football?
I grew up playing football, but I hate football.
Okay. And so you never play now?
No, I hate it. I always hated it. My parents forced me to go there. Yeah, but I love climbing. Actually,
Climbing
I
is
climb
great.
a lot.
Yeah, climbing
I'm
is
not
great.
very good, but I try.
Yeah, climbing is
Because
great.
it's like one of the good things is what you said, that you have to rest and you can talk with other people and bond a lot. But also when you are climbing, you're focused and you are peaceful and you don't think about your shit. It's
Yeah,
like,
well, what you need to get into...
like mindfulness.
Actually, then unfortunately, I should have contacted you and seen if you wanted to join me, because tomorrow I'm going whitewater kayaking on the Salt. Kayaking is a lot like that, and it's in the rapids and all. And it has the same thing as climbing, because when you're on the river and you're in the rapids, your mind is just on the rapids.
Yeah, you can think about anything else.
It's like you're just in the, and it's like snowboarding on water. And
That's super cool.
it's really wonderful.
Yeah, let's try that. Here's your storage. This is a 4 terabyte SSD unit. Okay, so to place this, we have to open this little lid here.
The size of the hard drives.
Yeah, the size of the hard drives is
Just
crazy today.
It's crazy.
Yeah, you don't longer have you can still use hard drives, use them for servers and for long-term storage.
Yeah.
And for bigger storage. Also, this is super expensive. Like the density is super
Right, the
high,
density costs a lot more.
but it's super expensive.
Yeah, for such a small PC.
For this same price, you can have like 40 terabytes, I think, with a normal HD. So this is not super hard, but you have to know how to do it.
I just don't want to push too. No, I think it's right. I'm just
okay. Yeah.
I was being careful about pushing too hard.
Now you have to just move this, and it's fixed.
Well, that was easy.
It's super easy.
Yeah.
It's easier than ever. Building a computer is like easier than ever. Now we put this back on. We have to remove this plastic.
Yep.
So this is for the temperature. This is like a heat sink.
Yep.
It's aluminum, because those are getting very, very hot.
Since they're so small.
Yeah. Also very fast.
Yeah.
Super, super crazy fast.
Yeah.
Twitch is also getting relevant in the sport. Well, it's very relevant in the sports, but mainly for commenting stuff, but not really for doing sport, right?
Well, there's certain sports that I don't think translate to live streaming in Twitch. Like it's all about community, and certain sports lend itself to that. Interestingly, I think climbing. I don't know. Have you tried climbing on Twitch?
Not really, because I think it's a bit boring to watch.
I don't think it is boring to watch at all. I think climbing would fit well, because you should try it.
I will try it.
Because especially bouldering.
Yeah.
Right. I do think if you're doing long climbing, then but if you're doing bouldering, right, you can set up the camera. It's actually interesting to watch someone trying a hard one, and then you're going to sit there and chat.
Yeah, the problem is that I'm not super skilled in bouldering.
That's okay.
I'm more like long rails.
So you don't like bouldering?
I like it, but I'm not very. I mean, I go to a gym.
But you don't have to be super skilled.
Yeah.
They don't care if you're super skilled.
Yeah.
I think as long as you have the microphone
With you? Yeah.
with you, and then the camera is on you, I think people would love that.
Okay.
Right? Because you're talking about, all right, I can do this, because you're getting tired at the end.
Yeah.
And then they can hear your vocalization of trying this move and then missing it. Right?
Yeah.
And now you have to, the hard part is you have to focus on the climbing while verbalizing whatever you're feeling.
Yeah, okay.
For it to be
I will totally
interesting.
try that.
Yeah.
And I will start with bouldering probably.
Yeah.
But I'm a bit shy doing like IRL.
Yeah,
I have
different people are
to
different.
break this
Yeah, but I do
wall.
think a lot of sports, like kayaking, it doesn't work because of the cellular. Soccer, it's just too big. You need like someone really to get the action.
You need a team.
It needs, because otherwise you're just like a tiny whatever. So.
And what do you think about tennis? Will it work for tennis?
I don't think it, because again, anything that has a large space that you're playing. One way to think of it is, suppose someone's filming it, how much does it need good camera work? Because then now it's expensive, right? And tennis kind of needs good camera work because the space is big. Interestingly, I could see fighting and wrestling, it gets a little easier, right? Because the space is smaller. But when the space is big, then you need good camera work. Otherwise, you don't really see what's going on.
But also for this kind of stuff we are doing right now, we are showing a lot of product and things. We are doing like do-it-yourself stuff. I think that also for this, you need some kind of setup like this. because you can have like your typical setup with your front camera, maybe some zenithal, but it gets a bit boring for me. For example, if I want to show a TV, right here I can unbox a TV and I can show it, and he can follow me with the camera. So I think it's like you only need someone to invest on that and to try hard.
You could do the same setup with 3 cameras with an ATEM that you switch, and it's not going to be as good as what you have, right? Because the quality of the camera is great. But if you have 3 cameras and an ATEM that you can bam, bam, bam right here, can you do it by yourself? Yeah, you could do it by yourself.
I used to do it by myself actually at the beginning, but it's a lot easier when you have someone that takes care of the camera and you just focus on the product. And
of course.
So here we have RAM. This is the main memory of the computer. This is like 64 gigabytes. And do you know how to place them?
Let's see. All right.
This part, I think you will like it. It's the case. The case is very cute.
Nice.
Have you seen it before?
No, I have not.
Really? Okay,
I have not seen this case.
Okay, so this is Fractal Terra. This is very pretty.
The cases are getting so beautiful.
Yeah.
And we still have those damn cables.
That's right. That's
you know, it's so like there's so much beauty in all this, and then you still have the fucking cables.
Yeah.
It really is a shame.
Yeah, making everything wireless is super expensive.
I know, and it just doesn't.
But you can. For example, for monitors, you need your HDMI or DisplayPort. You really need that because the transfer rate is super important.
Right.
And why? For example, right here we have for this camera, we are sending the signal wireless, but it's only HD. And for HD, it's super expensive. If you want 4K, it's crazy.
It's so I know.
Yeah. And also, you have some latency. It's not the best.
I know. No, I know this because, like, at home, like, got my PC, but it just wires everywhere. Yeah. And then I do music. You know, I play the piano and sing, and so I have a mixer set up, and so that's even more wires.
Yeah.
Because I have the cable going from my computer, so it's just like a wire farm. You know.
Do you do it on Twitch?
I do. I'll play the piano and sing on Twitch.
How is it working for music?
How is Twitch working in general for music? I think Twitch works really well for musicians that will play music, but much like yourself, people aren't coming just for the music. They're coming for who you are.
Okay.
And so it's actually interesting if you mix in playing music with other things and talking and chatting and all that, and as opposed to just saying, I'm going to play a song and play a song. So I think early on, musicians tried to do on Twitch the same thing they do in a performance. And the reality is Twitch is different than just doing it a performance because you want people to come back. So I think the musicians that do well, they're interesting personalities who also write music, sing cover songs, and they can do different things. So I think it works pretty well for that.
And what about the copyright? Do you have problems with copyright when you play like popular songs or?
No, so we have all the rights, all the publishing rights. We acquire them for live. Now we don't have the publishing rights for VOD. For recorded stuff because that's different. It's more music rights are very complicated. So I always say you might create a VOD so that then you can create clips for Instagram or YouTube or something like that. But don't leave all these VODs and clips around because right now the labels are kind of okay with it. But you know the VODs and the clips are where we don't have the rights. So
so maybe I will play the guitar because I play guitar. So maybe I will play also.
Play the guitar and then just like for that then like. You know, don't keep that VOD.
Okay.
You know, and your VODs don't stay long term anyway. So if they're clips you really like, share the clips on Instagram or TikTok, and then
I will totally do that.
I bet you your community would love it.
Since you came here, now I'm a climbing streamer, but also a guitar streamer.
Shoot, we'll play music next time. I'll need to get you to come to TwitchCon, because at TwitchCon at the end I do a jam session.
Really?
Yeah, so
you can go to the stage to play with you.
Yeah, so in fact, next year come to TwitchCon and we'll play together.
Okay.
You could still change your plans 3 weeks from now. Come join. You can
go. Yeah.
You want to?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, of course.
All right, you can play at the last session on the Kappa stage. I have an hour where I'm doing a jam session.
Okay.
So you can come up and play with me.
Okay, I will do it.
Okay, good. You heard that. Coming to TwitchCon and he's jamming with
me.
I
have to go. I'm a bit shy.
Well, and tell me this: as a guitar player, are you good at playing songs that like you haven't practiced?
Actually, I used to be, but I'm not really playing a lot lately. The last.
But if all you're doing is playing chords, if you used to be,
I can do
if
that.
you used to be, then you can take guitar tab, and if you've got the chords,
I can like play a solo to learn to play a solo in half an hour, of course.
Okay, but you're
But
all
I can play chords.
No, all I'm talking about is because part of the jam is we're sitting up there and someone says, "All right, I'm going to do fill in the blank song." You bring up guitar tab, you've got the chords, you haven't played Hey Jude before, but that's okay. All you're doing
totally
is
do that.
perfect.
Maybe I can improvise some.
Yeah, you can do a little solo or something like that. Yeah. All right,
that would
good.
be awesome. Okay, so this is the case. Let me show you. This is the bottom. Okay. I love this case. It's super small, super cute, minimal. The color also it's green. You don't see green cases every day.
Oh, it is very pretty.
Yeah, it's pretty. So you also have this accent in wood on the front. Some USBs. If you want to travel with this also, you can.
Yep.
And or you can have it in your home for whatever you want to do it about it, even if only for decoration.
Perfect.
Like
it's perfect.
it's
Well,
okay.
part of me is thinking. So my daughter is a singer-songwriter.
Okay.
I've been saying she should stream forever. Okay, and she has streamed a little bit, but she hasn't really like. Okay, I'm gonna do it regularly, but I think she fits perfectly, and I might even, as opposed to setting this in my place, because she would love a nice cute. If I get, I would tell her if you start streaming, I will set this up as you're streaming.
Also, we have like a graphic card, so it will be perfect for streaming.
Yeah.
And okay, so we will open this. Okay, so this is not super complicated to open. Actually, it's a very smart design. You open this like this, and you have here a button.
It used to be such a pain in the ass to get inside the computer.
Yeah, now it's like super.
Yeah, it was so
super easy.
It was like, and you were like, all right, I think I can connect that.
Also, I don't know if this happened to you, but have you ever like cut your
no,
arm
I haven't,
or whatever?
but I
did many times because it's super sharp.
Yeah.
They used to build the computers the cases were super sharp. Let's start with the power supply.
Yep.
We have like 1,000 watts power supply because why not? Basically.
Same size.
Yeah. And this is a super small power supply, but also super powerful. Those are getting super small, as you can see. 1,000 watts used to be crazy back then. And also for power supplies, many people, they try to calculate exactly what's the power consumption of their computer, and they put like exactly the power supply they need. But actually the specification for the power that the power supply can deliver, the power efficiency curve of the power supply, it's like this. So when you are at 50% of the power, you have the highest power efficiency. So if you try to put like the double of the power you will draw from the power supply, it will be a lot more efficient. But also it will be less noisy because when you get it, and also be less hot. Yeah. So actually overbuying on your power supply leads to improved power utilization. Yeah. The power supply, you don't have to change it. It's something that you buy once and
you're done. And if you make it too close and then you get a new GPU or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so what cables do you need for this? You want to choose them? No, it's okay.
No. Why do they have so many cables?
Okay, so basically this cable here is for the motherboard. This is the main power supply of the motherboard.
But explain to me why they need it across so many wires. Why can't the power go in a single wire?
Okay, because
or two wires.
If you deliver too much power in a very thin wire, it gets hot. You will need like
so it's heat that they want to spread the power out. Whereas, like if you look at the power cord from here, right, it's insulated and it's thick.
Yeah, it's
and
thick.
Of course, it has all the power coming through here.
Yeah.
But I guess there is heat generated.
Yes, but
like this, like let's take this.
A little bit.
All the power is going by definition from here to here.
Yeah.
If you had a single cord from here to there, the problem is it generates too much heat.
Yeah, but that actually will be possible because mainly what you need is different voltages, like 12 voltage, 5 voltage, and 3.3. That's all you need. You need 3 different voltages from the power supply. The power supply will generate these 3 different signals. But also what they do is separate them on different rails because you don't want to overload one rail. But actually there is another reason. For example, lately This cable here, which is thicker, if you check, it's a bit thicker compared to others, is the new graphics card cable. And this can be used for big graphic cards that consumes like a lot of power. And this is very small. Why don't they do the same for this? It's because of compatibility and legacy.
Okay,
it's like
legacy.
It's like this since the 90s, so they never changed it.
Yeah.
And that's why. Nvidia mainly made a big effort to change this cable. And it is a problem actually, because if you have like an old power supply, you need an adapter. And also this cable, when it came out, it had some problems with heat and some burns.
Interesting.
Yeah, it was a mess. So it's not that easy to change something that it's
been it's so
that's the reason.
Right. Because I mean, part of the challenge is just the routing of the cables.
Yeah, it is.
You know,
yeah. In this case, it won't, because everything is small.
Designed for that.
It's designed for that. This is for the CPU. This delivers power also to the motherboard, but it's specialized on the CPU. It's separate, because in the motherboards, it's very important, the power delivery design for the CPU, because the CPU needs very exact voltages. Because you want to deliver the least amount of current that you can work with. If you deliver more current, more voltage, and in general more current, it will be hotter.
It heats it up.
It always heats it up.
So meaning, as the processor is working harder, the current is adjusting.
Yes, in real time. There is a part here in the motherboard that converts that 12 volts to 1 point something. It can do that on demand. I explained in a video how it does it. It's a bit complex, but mainly it converts the current to whatever voltage you want. So you will deliver what the processor says it needs.
What it needs.
Yeah. So depending on the load and the frequency.
What it's doing right now.
And back then, in the 90s, you used to deliver all the time the same voltage, but that's not very efficient. So Intel made this algorithm, and also AMD, to change in real time.
Well, especially voltage. Now there's so much variance in the power, because now the amount of processing the chips can do is so much more. So there's so much more variance. But at its peak, you need a fair amount of power.
Yeah, at the peak for the voltage, it's like 1.5, 1.6, which is a lot higher than it was before. And then for the power in total, for some Intel processors, it's like 300 watts. Or more even, and for this one I don't remember, but maybe 190 to 200, something like that. But so for this, you want this current to be super stable, super stable. So that's why you deliver the power in a different rail. The good thing is that you can use this for modding also. Many times we cut this and then use this power for whatever we want.
For whatever you want.
Do you want to plug them?
Sure. I'll plug them. I'll do the hard work. Okay, but let's see. So this one is probably right here.
Yeah.
All right.
I think that's it. We don't need any other cable for this build. So you worked for NASA?
I worked for NASA for 7 years.
Okay, what you did there?
I was at NASA Ames, and I started out I went there as a researcher in kind of AI and autonomous systems, and but then I quickly started managing, and eventually I managed all the computer science research, which a big part of it was kind of AI and robotics.
You took like the managing pathway.
Yeah, there was this very clear point in my career when I got offered to take on as the deputy of the big organization, where I made this clear decision that I said, okay, I'm good technically, I can do this stuff myself, but I'm extremely good at being able to both understand the technical stuff, but also lead and manage and articulate. So I realized the thing that I was, particularly well suited for was blending the two. So I kind of made this very clear decision, like, no, that's the path for me.
Yeah, because normally as a tech professional, there is always this decision at some point. You can get like super expert on something, or you can go managing.
I was glad I got my PhD, because when I was getting my PhD, I wasn't like using all those other skills, but I was just going deep technically, and that's where I built confidence in, like, oh no, I can do really well here. I am very good at going deep technically. And so then when I started managing, some people manage because they're not good.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I was like, no, I know I'm good at that, but I'm better at this.
Don't you miss the technical stuff?
I do.
Are you involved?
I do miss, back when I was able to do the stuff myself, right? And am I involved? I mean, so much of what I do now is really much more about product stuff. It may be dealing with technical related issues, like how are we going to use AI? But it's not really dealing with any of the math or any of the meat.
But at least you understand the potential and the limitations. That's very important.
Yeah. I may not know this, but then I can ask a bunch of questions and I can understand it and then deal with
I guess it's like super easy for you to understand. Also for me, because I used to be a software engineer, software developer for 10 years before starting in social networks. And it was like super hard to me to understand AI.
Yeah.
It's like I can understand every piece of software, more or less. But when AI came out, it was like, I don't see how this works. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So for most people, it's like that, I think. Is it the same for you? Or do
I
you
would
really
say,
understand?
well, there's two levels of understanding it, right?
Yeah.
I actually understand it very well from a conceptual space. I can conceptualize the idea of a multidimensional model and how it is, finding a position and comparison in place and all that. I don't understand all the math that then leads you to be able to do it, right? And in fact, one of the things, so when I did AI, I was in what's called symbolic AI. Because when you go back in time in AI started with these kind of two fields where symbolic AI was more explicitly representing information. Knowledge-based systems would have it, and they tried to mimic, how a human might, what they thought was how a human might think about it.
And do you think that neural networks are really working because they mimic the human brain, or this is maybe?
I don't know. I don't think it's because they mimic the human brain. I mean, there's lots of statistical machine learning. Obviously, the neural networks are. There are other ways to get it the black box. Obviously, the fact that this is what I'd say. It's motivated by the human brain, but it's not like neural networks are exactly the human brain.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
It just ends up being a good representation.
And do you think our brains are statistics?
Curious what you mean by that.
Okay, so the basis of neural networks and how modern AI works is based on statistics. So we are able to achieve things that we never thought that a computer could do using statistics and this fuzzy way of thinking or programming.
Yeah.
So that might be the rules that also are behind our brain.
So I think the world is not discrete and linear, right? The world is continuous. And then we somehow have these representations that are discrete, and a computer is all discrete eventually, right? It all comes down to ones and zeros. But actually our brain is not ones and zeros, right? Our brain is, the world is a continuous world. So I do think that whenever you have a continuous world, there is uncertainty and complexity. So as opposed to statistics, I would describe it around uncertainty and complexity versus determinism, if that makes sense, right? You can think of in a very discrete world, everything's deterministic. But I mean, it seems kind of clear that in our body, everything's not deterministic. There's so many different things happening.
But maybe the world is deterministic, but it's way too complex. Like in chaos theory, it's way too complex, and we can't understand it. We can't model it because it's way too big.
Yeah. By the way,
but in the end,
there's the idea. I think this idea of, in the end, does everything just become a discrete representation? And you can make an argument that says anything that's continuous, at some level it turns to atoms, and at some level it turns, which that may be true.
But not
But I don't know if it matters, because if you get to such a level, the answer is yes, but it's such a level. So I don't think we know. For everything we know, there's a lot.
We'll probably never know.
Yeah, well, for everything we know, there's so much we don't know. And the story of humanity is always thinking that what they know now is like a full understanding of reality.
But
and it's like
true.
obviously there's so much we don't know, especially about the human body.
Yeah.
You know,
We are like
there's
learning
so much we
stuff
don't know.
all the time.
We still learn like there's like you hear these things about people learning parts of the human body that we didn't know were there.
Yeah, that's crazy. Why not? Well, today it's harder to open living persons and study them. I can imagine that.
Yeah.
But yeah, sometimes you see they discover this new organ. It's like, why now?
Yeah, it's like what? You know.
Okay, so I'm placing here the motherboard.
Yep.
I hope you don't mind.
No, that's okay.
Okay. And what kind of?
It's better for us to have an interesting conversation than people seeing me screw. Like I can screw. I've proved that I can use a screwdriver.
Yeah,
that's what I've proved. So if that was ever a question.
Yeah. So you never do like technical stuff in your spare time, or?
I've often wanted to be like, I should like start programming again.
Yeah, but you have to choose music or programming or something.
Right, because it takes time, and in particular, it takes time to get back to where you can do anything interesting.
Yeah.
Right, and I've never had the time to say, okay, I'm going to get back to where I can do something interesting, and like it needs to be doing something you care about. That like not just doing it to do it.
Yeah, to do
right.
something.
You have to be like building stuff, and the stuff I would care about, I would need to spend a fair amount of time to get back to the competence level to do something I cared about.
Yeah, I try to also to program to do software development in Twitch. Twitch.
Yeah.
I made many live streamings about programming, and many times I use ChatGPT because it's like super useful, and also people can see the potential. What do you think about programming with ChatGPT? Do you allow your engineers to use ChatGPT for work? They will probably use it anyway.
To be honest, I don't know. I mean, I do think that LLMs, I think this is one of the areas where it is going to have a huge impact. Like there's so much that you need to do in the programming that actually isn't like, that it could do just as well, and it makes it easier.
For me, in my experience for software development, you can ask ChatGPT to write some code for you, but you have to understand what
it's writing.
But also you have to ask things like it's like
you have to make sure you can generate the right query.
Yeah, and sometimes you have to explain like I want you to use this algorithm. I want you to take this input data. I want you to do this way. And if you don't know how to code, it's impossible.
No, it's not. The idea that it's like, it makes all these people who can't code into good coders. I don't know if that's the case. No. I think it makes a good coder
faster,
a lot more efficient.
Yeah, more efficient.
Right. So, and it's not like a good coder. A good coder would love to be faster.
Yeah.
What is an IDE except something that makes a good coder faster?
Yeah, that's right. But also there is like a lot of boilerplate, a lot of code that you write and you don't have to.
You're just like, your brain isn't, you get to a point where it's like, all right, I got this.
Yeah.
Right? And you're like typing away and like you got it, and that's not that isn't the part that requires your brain to really be thinking hard.
But also I think that today we are not yet there, because sometimes you spend like a whole afternoon trying to fix what the AI did. Because it's wrong or whatever, or you just can't understand why it did it that way, and it's like crazy. So one of the things I do in my spare time is trying to figure out how to use AI to code better.
Yeah.
Like what is the right way? Because I think we didn't understood it yet.
Yeah, I think for sure. I think for sure. But it's going to be a huge, I just think it's going to continue to transform, how we write code.
Also on Twitch, there is a lot of interest, I think, in coding and building stuff. Yeah.
No, I mean, the code development has been growing a fair amount.
Okay, so this part is done. Your processor, motherboard, the power supply. Now we will plug this. This is the riser cable, which basically will allow us to connect the graphic card on the other side. So our graphic card is this one. This is a 4060 Ti.
Okay.
It's not the top, because the top doesn't fit here, of course. The top is super, super big, and it will work better also in this case.
I take the plastic off.
Yeah, you have to take all that plastic off. I don't like that they put that much plastic on the graphics card, because
Why
it's
do they
like,
need to do that?
It's a lot of waste, right?
Yeah, why do they need to do that?
Yeah. But brands change a lot, actually, the packagings right now are like super...
Nope, there's still plastic there too.
So, are you including into Twitch something related to AI?
We use AI for all sorts of things. We've always used AI for all sorts of things. And we're going to keep using more AI. The real question is, like, where do we use generative AI, right? Because generative AI is the thing that has been so
right
revolutionary.
Now, do you use like AI for the recommendation system algorithm?
Of course.
Yeah, of course. That's mandatory nowadays.
Yeah. Otherwise, you don't have a recommendation system, right?
Of course. And what else do you use AI for?
Fraud detection is a big part, right? Because we constantly have to be fighting fraud.
Okay, now it's perfect, or at least it should be. Now we have to plug this into the motherboard. Okay, and what else? Now you have to put this.
Plug that into
that in the power. And don't worry if you mess up, because we will test it and.
There, I was doing it the wrong direction.
We're shipping this to you, so we will test it and benchmark and see that everything works. So don't worry. I will plug this to the motherboard, and I think that's pretty much it. This is the USB's connector.
All right.
And this is USB-C. And we are missing something from here from the box. I built many of these motherboards, so I already know how it works, but it's the first time it's like you have to read the manual and understand what is going on.
With so many things, the first time you do it can take 10 hours. The second time it can take 1.
Yeah. But when you do it, you do this for video or in Twitch, it's like super slow because you start speaking, and if you do it like by yourself,
like bam.
It's like
this would have been 20 minutes.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, probably. But on Twitch it's like 2 hours, maybe 5 hours sometimes to build a computer. It's crazy, but well, it's content.
Yes.
Okay, so this is an extra piece that they put in the box when you can where you have to plug for example this is the power button.
Okay.
This turns on the PC, so this is somewhere here. It's nice that your background is in IT, because I think that most of the time, maybe with other streamers, we don't have the opportunity to hear you about this topic.
Yeah, this stuff. Yeah.
Okay, so cable management.
These cables. All these fucking cables.
Yeah, but we can. Okay, so people is asking, when is AV1 coming?
You can be doing the zip ties.
Yeah.
So first of all, I will talk for a second about. People always want to know about AV1. Now, actually, they probably should care more about HVAC 265 than AV1.
Why?
So right now, it's less than 20% of viewers have computers that can handle AV1. Okay.
But I think all smartphones can, right?
I don't think so. No, I mean, all the brand new smartphones, maybe iPhone 15.
It requires more CPU, right?
Yes.
Yes. Or more graphics.
Yes. And so it's only about 20% of viewers have the ability. HVAC 265, a lot more people have the ability to view HVAC 265. Okay. And in fact, this is one of the challenges in terms of whether you go to AV1 or HVAC 265, because if you want to do both, then you have to pay to transcode the full stack in both HVAC 265 and AV1.
So it's super expensive, right?
Right, yes, and so we already have to transcode to get to 264, and for the long time, we're going to be using 264, right? And so then you have another stack for HVAC 2 and another stack for AV1. Now what we'll probably do is only transcode at the top of the stack for AV1 and HVAC. If you can't handle 1080p, you probably can't do 720 in AV1. In other words, if for whatever reason, now that's not always true. You have the combination of the bandwidth and the processing, but also it's just expensive to do the transcodes of the full stack. So enhanced broadcasting is our pathway here, because we stream so much, it's expensive to generate all the transcodes.
Yeah, but you will also allow us to put like multi-stream.
Right, that's
process
why
that on our
enhanced
computer.
broadcasting matters so much,
yeah.
because most of our streamers have kick-ass computers that are sitting there with more than enough processing power to do the transcoding.
Yeah.
Okay, and it's not like it uses up the processor. You know, the processor doesn't wear out. So in June, enhanced broadcasting is going to be baseline part of OBS.
Okay.
Now that's not with AV1 yet, because we first need to be just getting people to adopt enhanced broadcasting. But then we can add HVAC and or AV1 to the transcode stack. Then comes the question of when do you go to HD and how do you cover the cost of HD and who gets the 2K or 4K, not HD, who gets 2K or 4K. We're still figuring all that out because, again, part of it is our scale means that as we do it, it can get prohibitive, it can get very expensive.
Yeah, I tried every resolution. I tried 4K because I'm streaming in 1080, but I'm recording everything in 4K at the same time because I publish my content in 4K in YouTube.
Yep.
But I tried to stream in 4K. The problem is that the transcoding for the lower resolutions is not perfect because I think you miss 1080 or something. You're missing, if you're streaming in 4K, you are missing some of the down formats.
Yeah.
So for me that will be perfect because I will be able to choose what streams do I want. And also one of the problems, not really for me because my stream is not moving that much, but so bit rate won't be a problem, I think. I think I can stream in 4K with 8,000.
Okay.
But for many gamers,
right? The big question with so many people, get confused. The nice thing about HV1 and HVAC is it's just you get better quality for the same bit rate.
Yeah.
Okay. Now you can do 4K at the same bit rate with HV1 or HVAC, and people are going to feel good because they'll say it's 4K. Okay, and it is better, but some folks are then going to want no, I want a higher bit rate in 4K. And really what it comes in terms of the cost, the cost, there are two parts of cost. One is the transcoding as a cost, and then once you get the transcode, the cost is just the number of bits.
Yeah.
Right, just the number of bits.
But also the transcoding and the coding in general is very complex because you can use a format and a bit rate, and it really depends on the settings of your algorithm, for example.
And how much time you have.
Yeah.
Because if you have less time, then and that is one of the challenges with live, because time matters.
Yeah, you have to do
in
it real
transcoding of time.
Also, for the people who are watching, if you put like a more complex algorithm, what you are doing is compressing more the image. But in order to calculate what are the best parts to compress, because you have to give up some information when you compress information, you have to destroy some information. So you need an algorithm to decide which parts of your image you are giving up to. And so in order to detect the best parts to maintain a very sharp and beautiful image, you need a lot of computing power. So you can do it for longer time.
Right, so the way I describe it is you have time, you have bits, you have CPU.
Okay.
And they're all coupled. Right? That if you have more time and you have more processing power, you can get fewer bits, right? Of course, eventually you get a limit. And then actually there are really four, because you have those three and then you have whatever your codec is, right? Yeah. And so if you have a particular codec like AV1 or HV, then you can get better efficiency from those three, but there's always a trade-off, right? If you have less time, then you can make up with processing power, right? Or you have less time and less processing power where you just spend it in bits.
Yeah, and the AV1, the problem is that the processor has to work really hard to decompress. But the good thing is that in in new processors, new graphics and new devices, they are building this co-processor that is able to
do the decompression.
To compression very efficiently. But
it's funny, everybody wants AV1 because it's a sexy thing, but probably HVAC is more what they should be asking about. And we will probably, that's one of the decisions, that it's probably the case that as we do this, it's more important to start with HVAC because more people will benefit from HVAC than AV1.
because many more devices are compatible with this.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so we are pretty much done. This is the computer. Okay, this is
beautiful.
Yeah, it's very beautiful and elegant. Okay, so let's finish this.
Yes.
Okay. Let's just put it on the covers. All right. Because it's very small. It's super small and.
Because your plan is to ship it as opposed to me? Okay.
Is it okay for you?
Yes, that works great.
Because you can like bring it with you, but you will have to put
it's just adding, as long as shipping works. Shipping works better for me, but if it was a pain, then I'd take it with me.
No, but also I have to test it because it's like you build a computer, but then you have like to test the hardware.
Right, to make sure that it's actually working, because if it's at my house and it's not working, then I'd be like,
some other times, some content creator come here to build a computer with me, and he was like very anxious to test it in his house, and he brought it with him, and it was like he wasn't able to configure everything, and it was like, man, you shouldn't do that. You should leave it here. I will test it, configure it, install everything, and then you can use
All right,
it. Okay,
now
so
let's
this
get
is
another one.
The final result. Also, I want to show you something.
Okay.
I will show you something that no one can see, only you.
And everyone that's watching.
But we won't show people.
Okay.
They can listen.
All right.
They can hear your opinion, but they can see it.
Okay.
Okay. No one knows this.
All right.
This is the first time I say this on any platform.
All right.
Okay. I'm working on a brand. I will launch my own products.
Okay.
Okay. It's tech products. It's keyboards, and many other products will come in the future. Okay. So it's the idea here is to build a limited edition for very high quality stuff for your setup. And my first product is a mechanical keyboard.
Okay.
And it's a collaboration with a very good studio. And I don't want people to see it, but I want you to see it and give me your opinion.
Okay.
One of the best things about my keyboard is that it has the ñ. You know what ñ is?
Yeah.
Most of high-end keyboards don't have this because people in Spanish.
It's English.
It's English. But this one, it's Spanish.
Yeah, nice.
So,
All right.
Okay, we're ready?
So this is my keyboard.
Okay.
Okay, we're safe.
Feels great. I just typed, I love this keyboard, I can type really fast. Thanks for showing me this keyboard. I love using it. It is really nice. When you get a keyboard, most keyboards are one of two things. Either they're these lightweight things like the portable Apple, they're just like it doesn't feel substantive enough. Or they're these massive ass things with like 25 different things that's like so big, which I'm like, I don't want this big ass keyboard with like everything. This feels substantive, right? It's nice to have, which it's actually kind of nice.
Yeah.
Because it's like it feels like, oh, it's gonna stay there. I love the feel of the keys.
Yeah. Also, it's a premium material. It's aluminum and steel, and it's pretty much a luxury item for your setup, and it will be very limited, like in number of units. So, what do you think? Do you like it?
I love it.
Yeah,
I love it. Yeah.
Also, the colors are.
Yeah, and I do think that the market for premium items, people spend a lot on their gear.
I do.
Right?
I'm the first.
Right, but their keyboard, interestingly, they spend a lot on their gear, but their keyboard, they don't have like, it doesn't keep up with all the rest of their gear necessarily. Yeah,
but especially for programmers or people that do a lot of stuff on PC, the keyboard
makes a huge difference. That's what I mean.
It's super
that's
personal.
the thing where you're actually spending all your time on the keyboard. Yeah. You don't spend any of your time on the, like, it's beautiful, but this is where you spend all your time.
Yeah. So thank you for your opinion.
Yeah.
Let's take this away, no one can see this. What's your favorite smartphone? What's your personal smartphone? Google Pixel?
I am a Pixel person. I'm an Android person, as I said, just because we're streaming from the Samsung, and I like the integration of the Google services just into the OS. I like messaging. I like the messaging better on Google than what Samsung. Although I had a Samsung like 4 years ago, because every 5 years ago, and I didn't like it. Right, that one is quite good.
What do you think about the AI on smartphones? Because they are like doing a lot of marketing about these AI features, but actually they are running on servers most of the time.
Yeah, I also don't know how much I care about all the things they talk about. Like Google shows me all this crazy ass photo stuff they can do, and I'm like, I don't do any of that shit. I don't know the number of times that I need to circle somebody and take them out of a photo. I cannot think of a single time where I'm like, oh, I need to take this person out of my photo.
Yeah, but also that specific feature runs on the server. There are some parts that
that aren't on the phone.
Yeah, on the phone, but they're like
really that whole thing, the circle thing, is all on the server.
Not all. There's like some limitations on local, because I tried it. I put it on airplane mode to try it, and it was like, this is not available. Why not? This is suspicious. Yeah. So well, let's go ahead, because I have so many questions.
So let's go into Twitch, because so let me first talk about one of the big challenges we have to face. Okay. Today, most of the time people spend are on desktop, and one of the great things about Twitch is multitasking and all that. But most of our viewers are on a mobile phone. So if you look at our daily active viewers, people that watch at least 5 minutes of a video, over 50% are on a mobile phone.
Oh, wow.
Now, 65% of the time is on desktop, and only about 25% on a mobile phone. So their sessions on the desktop are longer, but that's because they're doing stuff on their desktop. Right? In fact, if I could measure their attention factor, I suspect their attention factor is higher on their phone. Whereas when it's on their desktop, I actually think one of the reasons Twitch is so popular is because you're watching a stream and you can still do other stuff. In fact, a lot of times the thing you're doing the other stuff is your phone. You're watching a stream, somebody pings you, you open it up, you read the message, you type back, you're still watching. Right, your phone is like this companion when you're watching Twitch. But most of our users, again, are on mobile phones. And it's also the case as we go forward in time, like a lot of our users right now, because it all comes out of gaming, have big ass PCs in their house. If you're not a hardcore gamer, you don't necessarily have a big ass PC in your house.
Not really.
Right? You've got a laptop, you've got this. And so the reality is, more and more, we need to make sure that we work on mobile so that people can have shorter, more frequent sessions. Okay, and a big part of that is it takes a fair amount of time to build an affinity with a creator. And then what we see is sometimes just because people get busy, they sort of drift off. We need to make sure that even if you, like sometimes people will spend 15 hours a week watching Twitch. Suppose you get a new job, get a partner, now you only have 5 hours. We need to make sure you can stay attached. And part of that is making sure that you use Twitch every day. It's because it's very hard to maintain an every 3-day habit, right? So we're redesigning the mobile app to make it so that people can have, they want to be entertained for 15 minutes. Let's make it that you can open it and get to stuff right away, okay? So it starts, as soon as you open the app, you start with live content. Okay? You're coming to watch live content. When you look at a thumbnail, it's really hard to tell what someone's doing. Okay, because you're looking at it, you're squinting, you don't get a sense of what they're doing right now. You watch the content, and right now you click a thumbnail, you look, you go back, you click a thumbnail. Here, you can preview it and just keep previewing to see.
And this is like a personalized algorithm for each user.
Yes, personalized algorithm, which also will start with a lot of the ones you follow, but we also can help you discover new things because you're kind of, it's a much better way to browse and get a sense for content. Now, for a lot of users, they're like, okay, but I want to see who's live that I follow. All you have to do is tap right here, and now this is your follow graph. Okay, so a lot of people love starting on the follow. You're a tap away, okay? You want to explore clips?
That's very nice.
And now you have a clips feed. Suppose you want to check out the stories to see what you missed yesterday. You click there, and now you're in your stories feed.
Also, we are really used to this format because it's like Instagram, TikTok is more similar to those apps that we are really used to
Yeah.
use on mobile. So it makes a lot of sense to make it more natural.
Yeah,
People
yeah.
are
I
really-
think it's tricky because whenever you change an app that hardcore users are used to,
Yeah.
nobody likes change.
Nobody
likes change.
Yeah.
But the reality is, if we think of our streamers, we need to make sure Twitch works for those 15-year-olds that are just starting to use Twitch
Yeah.
today. And the reality is, for those 15-year-olds that are just starting Twitch today, it looks like the mobile app was designed 5 years ago. And you know why? Because the mobile app was designed 5 years ago.
And the design didn't change.
There's a good reason it looks that way. And so, okay, so this is 5% of users have it now, getting good feedback. We're making adjustments. In July, this goes out.
Okay.
Okay.
So right now it's like a small group of users.
Yeah, small group of testing, and then in July it goes out. So, so that's one thing I'm very excited about. And there's a lot we can do to then play around with improved algorithms or different ways to figure out, what we should show you in the feed.
Where's the chat?
So when you see something you like, tap.
Okay.
You go to the thing.
You go to-
okay.
okay.
Now, we also eventually want to get it so that you'll generate both vertical and horizontal from your from enhanced broadcasting.
It's very tricky because you have to choose what goes
Yes.
in the middle, right?
Yes, but the reality is, if someone's holding the phone like this, right? It's tricky, but this isn't a great view.
No, it's not.
It really
It's
isn't.
super small on the top.
It really isn't. Almost interestingly, most people on mobile watch like this. But if they want to chat, they don't chat like this.
Yeah.
Because chatting here is really tough,
Yeah.
right? So really the reality is most people, what they do is they watch like this, and then they want to chat and they go like this,
Yeah.
okay? But it's
makes
kind
sense.
of tricky to have to be going back and forth, right?
But how will you reframe the image?
No, you would do that.
Okay.
You would do that when you stream. We get you to give us
Okay.
a vertical and a horizontal.
So maybe I will have to have a wider angle of camera and to crop the image,
Yeah.
both for horizontal and vertical.
Yeah.
It's a challenge. We usually have to record things twice because it's super hard.
I think for you, I think as you're doing something like this, it does get particularly tricky because this is designed for landscape.
You can design.
Although actually, for most of the gamers, it's actually pretty straightforward.
Why?
Well, because if you're gaming, what you just do is you put the game in the top and you put your photo on the
okay.
bottom.
Yeah.
Right? And so really it's just kind of a natural scene. All right, so that's one thing. Okay. So number two, I'm a big fan, in general, everybody talks about discovery on Twitch.
Yeah.
One of the reasons discovery is challenging on Twitch is because the app is designed so people spend all their time on your channel. Whereas other platforms, they don't spend all your time on your channel.
No.
They're a swipe away for more content. The reason Twitch has such a great community is because people don't spend all their time on our homepage.
Actually, it used to be like that. For example, in YouTube, YouTube used to be like that, but now it's not.
No. With shorts, it seems. But even
But not because of that. They changed the because I've been on YouTube like.
Oh, when
for
you say 10 years.
Yeah.
So actually I was there when I ran product and engineering at YouTube.
Okay.
And it used to be that they had what was called watch on your channel page. So if you go to YouTube and you go to Nate's channel, you'll go to his channel and you look at the URL. If you click a video, the URL changed and you'll say YouTube/watch. It used to be, the idea was if you drove someone to your channel, they're your viewer, so we're going to keep them on your channel.
Yeah.
And you could watch a video on your channel. But if it came from the main thing, then it's on the watch page. YouTube made a change. At the time, I disagreed with it, but it was the right decision to take watch off the channel page. And when we first started YouTube Live, because I was there when we started YouTube Live, the idea was live was going to be on the channel page,
Okay. Yeah.
not on the watch page. Okay, and then you wouldn't be distracted with all the related videos, especially related videos of other people. And so, but YouTube made the decision. It ended up being the right thing for YouTube because it causes people to just stay on for hours. but it doesn't lead to the same community experience.
Yeah, it's not the same as it was before. Also, there used to be like super big YouTubers, like for example, Rubius, Auronplay. Back then, there were like the superstars on YouTube. Right now, the biggest, the most mediatic people are on Twitch.
Yeah.
It's like you can do a lot of YouTube content and a lot of people watch it, maybe more than the streamers, but streamers are more popular because they have like this.
Well, the difference is people build a stronger emotional attachment to streamers, and that's because they spend so much time with them.
Yeah.
So take somebody you watch on TikTok. Suppose they stopped creating TikTok videos for a month. You'd hardly notice it.
Yeah.
Right? Even on YouTube. If you went 2 weeks without creating a YouTube video, it's like your community wouldn't be like, I'm not using YouTube right now. Yeah. But if someone takes 2 weeks off of Twitch, everyone's like, whoa.
Yeah.
Right? And that's because they spend time together. So since people spend all their time on the channel page, the best pathway to discovery is collaboration.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. And so we're building, I bet you actually, this would be a good thing for you to use. We're building an update to Stream Together. Do you know what Stream Together is?
Yeah.
Okay. So we're building an update to make it easy for, if you're live, to look at someone else's live and knock on their door. Little thing will pop up in chat. They can answer it. The voice connection will be connected right away.
Okay.
And you're streaming together like that. Okay. With the idea that one of the problems with collaboration is planning in advance.
Yeah, and the technical part for the audio and
and all that. And so the idea is make it that you don't have to plan in advance. You know, the idea that you can have other streamers come while you're streaming with the technical question, knock on their door. Yeah. Nate, I got a problem.
Okay, and we can like merge the streamings.
Yes.
And I will be on his stream.
You'll be on his stream. You'll be in the fall. We're going to add combined chats, so you can put the chats together.
Okay.
But like you could imagine that one of your streams is to just give technical advice to other streamers.
Yeah, that's very
right. And you can tell other streamers you have a technical question.
That is something that happens, but sometimes it's like my chat starts saying, Auronplay said something on his stream. He's asking something to you, and I was like, okay, he can send me a WhatsApp or whatever.
No, but what you'd love if Auronplay, he has a technical question, he sees you're streaming, knocks on your door.
That's super
Nate,
cool.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
You bring Auronplay, you talk to him for 15 minutes, you answer his question, and so you can and you can set it with do not disturb, and you can control who can knock on your door.
That's
so
super cool.
you could have it where at times you say, have a technical question, and you'll determine who can do it. Like all partners say, all partners. Okay, any partner you have a technical question, come knock on my door.
That's super,
and I'll answer it.
Nice. That's
right?
sick.
Yeah. So that's coming out in mid-July.
Okay.
Okay. And then the other area is we're working on. We're right now. Clips were built way back in what I'll call a link sharing world, and now we're in where assets are on third-party sites like Instagram, YouTube, and so we're unifying the clips experience, and we're going to keep making it much easier. The way it eventually should work is you finish your stream, you should be able to find 3 to 5 clips that you want to share within 10 or 15 minutes.
Okay.
Right? And then you can share them to third-party services.
Okay, when you press like something and it goes to TikTok or Instagram.
Yes. And also that right now you create a clip and then you edit the clip. It's 2 steps. It's for vertical. It'll create a vertical version of the clip.
Okay.
Right when you create it. You can then go re-edit the vertical version. You also can retitle other like the clips that other people make. And eventually we'll make it easier and easier to share both the third-party sites but also to like stories and to the clips feed. So we're spending a lot to kind of make that much better.
Okay, that's super cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So those are the 3 biggest things.
Okay, can I ask you something a bit controversial?
Sure.
Okay. What do you think about Kick?
I had no idea you were going to answer that question. So look, my focus is on the streamers that are on Twitch and on growing the live streaming market. I think in the past, when we had competition, we focused on the competition. And we had things like exclusivity and no simulcasting and all those things. With the idea was, no, we got to keep what we have. And the reality is, I think all of our biggest problems is live streaming isn't big enough. I think for everyone that enjoys live streaming, there are 5 people out there that would enjoy it that don't watch it regularly.
Yeah.
And so we need live streaming to grow. As opposed to focusing on Kick, I'll talk for a second about TikTok. I love the fact that TikTok has live streaming. I think it's going to help Twitch grow.
I think so.
Okay, because I think TikTok is, they're trying to innovate and they do interesting things, right? And I don't think it's like a competition because I think they have a different sweet spot and I think it can help Twitch grow, okay?
Maybe you start on TikTok and then you move to Twitch.
All sorts of different things.
Yeah.
You also might use TikTok
Or
to
both
kind of
at
get
the
your
same
thing.
time.
There's all sorts of things that people are, which is why we allow the simulcasting, right? I know in the Spanish market, there are a number of streamers playing around with Kick. It's not a secret where their, money comes from. And the question is how long-term stable is that, right?
Yeah.
And what are they in it for, right? And how much are they trying to grow the live streaming market? If TikTok doesn't come to try to get our streamers. They go to try to get new people streaming.
Yeah, another type of, to differentiate.
Right,
from
I think it is a complete mistake to say, oh, the live streaming market is fixed, I'm just going to try to get what the other guy has.
Yeah, and I will pay someone to come with me because,
And then as soon as they stop paying him, then they're going to come back. Because that happened with Mixer, it happened with YouTube, that yes, they paid and then they come back.
Facebook too, yeah.
Right, we've had this competition before, and I think our focus is on who's on Twitch, because I do think we are hands down the best platform. I think people often talk about how it's hard for smaller streamers. This is true in all content creation.
That's right.
It's probably more true in live streaming than in VOD, only because it used to be true in YouTube. You've been around, that was true in YouTube back in 2012. That in fact, if you were a new YouTuber, it was hard to get going.
Yeah.
It's absolutely the case that because of the way TikTok works, and then YouTube is adjusted, it's easier to get started.
Yeah. Actually, on YouTube, you get recommended no matter who you are. And this is also one of the changes that affected big YouTubers, because before, when you was in YouTube, you got a lot of attention because you had your big and popular. Right now, it's like, it doesn't matter if you're famous or not, or big, or a lot of subscribers or not. If your video is good, it gets promoted.
Right,
so
right. And now, that is when you can say, is this video good? Live streaming is different. Because we don't have this feed that everyone is, oh, this stream is good, but yesterday's stream wasn't good. No, live streaming is about community, right? So the reality is, it is harder, and especially if you only want to live stream, right? Which I fully appreciate, because live streaming is a different skill than creating VODs. And some people are really good at live streaming, but they don't like creating VODs.
Yeah.
That's why we want to invest so much in clips, because it's much easier to create a reel, a TikTok, or a short than it was a 10-minute YouTube video.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
And you should be able to live stream and create 3 to 5 TikTok or Reels posts within 10 minutes after you stream. So you don't have to do a bunch of editing.
Yeah.
You stream for 5 hours, create 3 or 5 posts, post them. And I think that helps you grow, because I do think short form is better for growing.
A recommendation for someone who is starting now to stream?
So what I always say is, first, so as I said, collaboration is key. Now, who do you collaborate with? Well, if you want to grow on Twitch, watch on Twitch. Okay, and don't necessarily watch. So what's your average concurrent viewers?
I don't know right now. Normally it's like 1,000
or 1,500, right? So if you're just starting out, and let's say you watch a lot of Nate, the reality is Nate's a lot bigger than you. So the idea that you're going to collaborate with Nate if you're at 20 is unlikely, okay? If you're just starting out, go find some channels you love of like 50, 70, 80, 100 ACCV streamers. As you spend time on their channel, like, they'll get to know you and they'll be up for collaborating with you, right? And and not just them, but the other members of that community. When you say, hey, I'm streaming, they're like, oh, I'll come check you out, right? And so if you want to grow on Twitch, use Twitch. And don't just look at the big channels, right? Don't just watch Honor and Play. Find some smaller streamers and be part of their community, because then their community will come over. So
of course.
that's number one. Number two, I do think you want to be streaming on Twitch while you create clips and then share short form. Okay. Ultimately, it comes down to creating good content.
Yeah.
Right. And one reason
that's true for all the social media. Like
everything.
Growing depends on the quality of your content.
One reason why I like collaboration so much is because the content is better. That in fact, it's hard to sit there and talk for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. This is much easier. That's why every TV talk show is multiple people.
Yeah.
There is none. Even Howard Stern has a sidekick.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's just like having someone to play off of.
I try to bring always someone with me in the live streamings.
Yeah.
Like I have like many collaborators and friends who come over, and sometimes I bring like a product designer who can analyze with me how the company made that design, some AI engineer, some hacker, and we can, it's super fun. It's very
and you
good.
look at like Kai Cenat, who's one of our biggest streamers. One reason why he's so successful is he's part of the AMP house, and they do stuff together.
Yeah.
Right. So find other streamers, right, and find ways to do stuff together, because it makes good content.
Yeah, and always try to collaborate with people about your same size, because otherwise
maybe a little bigger.
Yeah,
it can be a little bigger. That's fine, but not. You're not going to get the. If somebody is watching a 50 or 100 ACCV channel, they like smaller communities. If someone's watching R and Play, they may not like hang out a lot in smaller communities, right? Because it's not the same thing. So spend time on channels that are kind of like yours, and find those meta communities that exist in Twitch.
Okay, I will totally do that.
Yeah.
So you came here and you changed my content, and you give me a lot of advice. So I will now make some climbing content, guitar playing content. I will collaborate with more YouTubers, streamers, and in general. So thank you for the for the coaching.
Great. Great. All right. Well, I should probably
have more time.
wrap it because I probably need to call an Uber or something soon.
Yeah.
This has been great.
Yeah, it was very fun, and I think that we could talk like for 5
we could
more
go
hours.
on and
I have
on.
like many questions.
We could go on and on.
Yeah,
so we'll have to. Well, actually, you know what we should do? We should do a stream together.
Okay.
Where we hang out together.
Okay, perfect.
I'll reach out to you.
Lo vamos a dejar hoy por aquí. Así que nada, muchas gracias. Thank you so much, Dan, for coming here. It was an honor.
It was an honor for me too.
Yeah.
And you're not nervous anymore, right?
No, not anymore. I always get nervous when I am starting live streaming. Always, like every day.
That's funny.
Does this happen to you also?
No.
No, okay.
No.
Well, it happens to me.
Yeah.
Y nada, chicos, espero que lo hayáis disfrutado muchísimo. Y poco más, nos vemos en el próximo. Hasta luego.